coding for littles. What does this look like, and how can we present this to even the youngest learners? So here are some ways that we can do that. The first thing I want to show is the benefits of coding. And so since I have the video, I'm going to click over. I'm going to go ahead and go to YouTube, but I'm going to, so that you can hear it, I'm going to present in a different view here. So let me go ahead and do that instead.
Hello world! Ryan here. Today we're going to talk about 10 reasons kids should code, according to Tinker. Number 1, coding helps kids visualize abstract concepts and lets them apply math to real-world situations. Number 2, kids who code understand the value of planning, which results in better writing skills. With coding, kids learn through experimentation and strengthen their brains, which allows them to embrace their creativity. Parents enthusiastically report that they've noticed their kids' confidence building as they learn to problem solve through coding. Number 5, as kids write more complicated code, they naturally develop better focus and organization. With coding comes debugging, and there's no better way to build perseverance and resilience than working through challenges. Learning a new language through coding teaches logical communication, strengthening both verbal and written skills. Kids are empowered to make a difference when they code. We've seen students spread positive messages of tolerance and kindness through coding. Number 9, coding is a basic literacy in the digital age, and it's important for kids to understand and to be able to innovate with the technology around them. And finally, there's a high demand for workers in the tech industry. Mastering coding at a young age allows kids to excel in any field they choose.
Oops, wrong one. Thank you for putting that sign-in sheet for me. And I'm gonna go. Did you all see the video? Okay. Did it mess up for you all? I know it did for.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go back here and present. All right. And some of the few things that they mentioned we're going to overlap over here, but also for littles, sequencing and just learning that concept of code as a written language. They'll also learn cause and effect, counting, planning, learning to read, so that left to right to reading, and of course problem solving, which was also mentioned in there. So all those are benefits of coding, and even if you don't get these little kids actually coding, just getting them into like the very beginning steps, like even when it's unplugged coding. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. Oops. Nope. So coding without text. So what does that look like? So I have some resources here for you, and I can give you this slideshow after the session is over. Some unplugged activities and another activity book from another source, some at-home resources because we are teaching online, so that way if you can't get those sources to them, print them out and send them to them. And then also some ideas on what that looks like. So let's take a look at one of these here. So some of these printables are going to be something you would have to print out and send to your students, and that's okay. Some of them you might be able to download as a PDF and maybe use in Cami, and so that way they can draw on top of the cards and worksheets or whatever they use. But many of them are going to be something that they do hands-on. So these are some of the printables from CS Unplugged. And this one has an activity book that you can open. I really liked this one. There's only a few in here, but you can see it. It talks about learning that left to right. And with coding, they learn directions, and that was in there as well. Was some of the first things that they would learn being so young is learning directions. And so there's some just very simple activities in here that they would use. And so those could be printed out as well. So you don't have to have the technology, they don't have to actually be coding, but they would learn those little steps that needed. So directions, learning how to follow directions, which is always a plus, right? And there's a few more in there. So you get a little bit more difficult as they go along. So there's that one. And then some at-home resources from the same one, CS Unplugged. And so there's this one, and it gives them the activity guide and different activities for each one through there. So here I was talking about like if you just Google unplugged coding for kids, you're going to come up with a whole plethora of different ones, and there are going to be some that do it with by instructions, and a lot of them were really neat because you can you can use chalk, you can use, kids can go out in their driveway and do this, they can go to a nearby park and draw these out. You can quickly draw just a grid on the ground, and usually takes one or two more people, not by themselves, because one of them has to be the robot and one of them has to be the the computer, or the one telling the computer what to do, because that's what coding is telling the computer, giving it commands through a language it can understand. So giving instructions on how to maybe follow a grid, putting some obstacles. Some of them were using Legos, so inside you can do that as well. There's a lot with the binary code and making bracelets, jewelry, using beads, learning that 0-1 code, and again, directional coding that could also be used, kind of like you maybe even be doing it already, take one step forward, take one step forward. So just little steps like that, and just learning those directions, right, left, up, down. So that's how you can do coding without text. So we have some resources here. And like I said, Google some of this stuff and you will get plenty of resources that you would be able to use in your classroom. All right, so here are some that are for the younger kids, and I looked like the one I did earlier, like CS First, that was mostly for 3rd and up. Scratch is mostly for 3rd and up, but there are some that are geared toward the younger kids. And so if I click here, you're going to be going to like pre-reader, and you're going to want to make sure that it is for the younger ones. This one says all the way up to 5th grade, so those might be a little bit harder. But if you go and you see it's just pre-reader, those are going to be the ones that are geared more for those younger kids. There's not a whole lot that are, but you can see there are some. Another thing is, if your kids have iPads, you can encourage them to download some apps like Code Monkey. Code Monkey does have several. Let me see if I can get that to click without. Um, so Code Monkey does have an app that you can download on the iPads, but again, there's some really cute games, coding activities that they can use, and these ones are free because it is for Hour of Code that they can play on. Some of them do go up higher, so you can see those are for sixth grade, but these right here, pre-K, first grade, second grade right here. And Tinker also has some for the littles, but again, you have to find the ones that are geared toward the younger kids. And Codable is another one that I found that had um, some for younger. So here's like this one, like grades K through 2. So they're a little bit harder to find that are going to be easy enough for those younger, like pre-readers that don't really know how to read. Because if you do go to some of these, um, I'll just pick one. They still have to read. So if they're in second grade and they are reading, they could be able, they should be able to do some of them, but a lot of the times they will have to read the code, the words on the code blocks. All right. Whoops. So one thing for teachers is like, well, I don't know how to code. I don't how am I supposed to teach coding if I don't know myself? But with the lesson plans that are out there, you don't even have to know how to code yourself. It is fun. And so if you do want to learn, I can show you some cool websites to go to learn how to code yourself. But let me get rid of some of these. All right, so Bitsbox I found to be pretty helpful and had quite a few lessons. And I clicked on a few of them. I clicked on this one that's for K2, and it gives you all the Common Core standards and gives you the activity. So it plainly shows you what the activity is about, how long it's going to take. So this one could be alone or in groups, which would work for students right now. Unfortunately, we're not in the classroom yet. There may be a few of us that are in the class, but there's some of those. So that one looks like it's going to be a little bit for the older kids. And one of the games in Bitbox, I saved it in my bookmarks, and let me find it. Oops, and I'll have to go back to that. So this was one of the little apps that kids can use, and that I could see even kindergartners creating these simple codes. So it tells you, and I already finished this one, but it tells the student what to write, how to change it out, so they can easily change the code and run it and change things in here. So if you notice, they can change it to pizza, and then it actually does something. So that one was from Bitsbox, and you can send that to your kids to play with. They learn how to write code, and this is very simple. There's only 3 lines of code. Your students would know how to use the shift button, but other than that, I mean, most of those are pretty simple to find. So let me go back here and go back to present because I got out of it. And I was on lesson plans. So then we have Techno Kids, and Techno Kids has this one was a little bit different. I didn't sign up just because I don't have a classroom of my own, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to sign up. I wasn't able to see what type of lessons, but I did watch the video and it looks like it's pretty legitimate if you want to go ahead and sign up for a free Microsoft Office and Google Apps for Education lessons. You get one a month. Hopefully they won't, drown your inbox. If you do, you can always unsubscribe. Code for Fun is another one I found that had some pretty good lessons. And this one has the lesson plans, and some of them even have Google Slides to go with it. So if I click on that one, it's going to bring up the Google Slides, and you can see, as long as it loads, all of those. So pretty neat. That one was on secret codes. And I think, let's see, one more. And this is from code.org. And there are some lessons here. This one you do have to sign up for as well. I do believe it's free. And so if I were teaching kindergarten, I would go ahead and click on kindergarten lesson plans here. And there you get all of those. Nope, I don't have to sign up. That one's not a coding lesson, but that one is on digital citizenship. So here's more of the coding ones and videos. All right. So learning to drag and drop, some happy maps, things like that. So this one you can see it has some videos, some worksheets, some manipulatives. I don't know if it's ones that you have to print out. It looks like it is. So I didn't click on every single one, but there's some printables for you. So there's some websites, some lesson plans, and I told you if you're interested in coding for yourself, I would give you a few websites here. So these are a little bit more, and actually kids would probably enjoy this too. So we have Grasshopper, maybe second grade, and I wouldn't recommend it for anything lower than that one. But it does kind of reward you as you go along. And then we have Compute It, and this is just web-based, so you don't have to sign in, you don't have to do anything. You just click on it, and then you start from 0, and you start working your way down. And this one is reading code instead of writing code. You get it done, and then you just keep going on to the next one. Pretty simple. And for those of you that are really serious about coding, learning as an adult just for fun, there is Free Code Camp. And as you can see, if you sign in, I'm already signed in, it will save all of your work that you've done and keep going. And I'm barely on this second one here, but it is kind of neat to learn how to do that. And that is all I have for you. So I want to thank you for joining this very short session for coding with littles. I'm going to hang out because I know I kind of went through that really quickly. So if you have questions on coding with little kids, let me know because I can probably answer those questions. And I will give you the, let me exit out of here, and I'm going to give you this slide deck.
Will that be available on the Cameron Crusade website in the future? The link?
Yes, I will make sure that it gets on there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.